Welcome to Lock It Down Sports. I'm your host, Locke Hoover. You can find me on Twitter at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on Twitter. You can also follow us at E5280 Sports. That's E5280 Sports. And today on the show, what Derek Jeter said about the Hall of Fame, how the Big 12 conference could close the financial gap, and how injuries have positively affected this player. But first, I want to get into this. And you've heard it before, but you've also heard it that it doesn't matter as much. Well, I'm here to tell you it does matter. And that comes to recruiting high school kids, upper echelon talent. Blue chippers matter. That's 4 and 5 star kids. So 50% is the number we're looking for here. 50% is every team that's won a national championship the last 13 years. Yep, the last 13 national champions going back to 2011 had over 50% of their roster to be blue chip prospects, which is 4 and 5 star kids for at least 3 straight recruiting classes. That's right. They tell you recruiting doesn't matter. It's all about development. Well, numbers tend to tell a different story. Of those 13 national championships, and during those years, 3 of those years, all 4 playoff teams were blue chip rosters. In 2021, it had 3 teams that were all blue chip teams, prospect teams, recruited teams in the playoffs. The only oddball being Cincinnati not having a top recruit blue chip team. Now, this might not surprise you, as it didn't surprise me. The conference dominance continues in this one, as 13 of the 16 teams are in the SEC or Big Ten. So the SEC teams include Georgia, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, Texas A&M, LSU, Florida, and Auburn this year. Big Ten includes Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Southern Cal, and Michigan. The non-schools are in the ACC, and Miami and Clemson, and then obviously Notre Dame, not the ACC, kind of the ACC. That's it. So that's your group of potential national champions, theoretically, historically, since 2011, this upcoming year. Now, you asked me about the portal, and I'm glad you asked. Florida State would be the only school added to that list that has a 50% or above. So if you want to consider that 3 ACC schools out of the 17, okay, that's fine. But that's really all you're at when it comes to ooh, boy. A little sneeze there. Sorry, there, all you listening. But that's it. Florida State would be the only one in the portal, if you count the portal recruits in there, because they did this article and topic did a list on that. And I think this trend is going to continue with this conference dominance. I mean, not a single Big 12 school was on that list. And that just shows you what kind of shape they are in as a conference. And it's not really surprising, as we've seen the development these last, year, maybe year and a half even, with the continued conference realignment. They fought for scraps. They're still alive as a conference, but they don't have a dominant team, which isn't a surprise based on the makeup of the conference. Yeah, they're going to get 2 teams in, but that's really where they're at as a conference. Now, I think at some point, some team is going to buck this trend and pop this bubble with talent that they have. And a team I think can do it is Tennessee. And I've mentioned this previously. They have a chance. Want to know why? Because they can get a quarterback. They've been able to bring in high level 4-5-star quarterbacks consistently since Heupel has been under the helm. And he's an offensive guy. He can continue to develop that 4 and 5-star quarterback to potentially get them to a national championship. Now, they also have a roster just below the threshold at 46% of blue chip kids. So they're right on the cusp as it is of their roster having 46% of kids, but then you have a dynamic quarterback that could potentially tip the scales. I mean, look at it a few years ago when Lamar Jackson was at Louisville. I mean, that team was okay, but look how dynamic he was at the helm for Louisville. Yeah, they end up fading a little bit at the end, but what he did to make them in the conversation, a Louisville squad in the conversation, you're like, huh, this is interesting. Could this happen? Is this a viable candidate in a school that could potentially get there and be in the mix, in the conversation? They kind of were for a good portion of the season for a Louisville team. You're like, huh, that's something. Now, something else that's kind of something and been a very nice development for the Atlanta Braves has been Jared Kelenic. I mean, if it wasn't for Michael Harrison and Acuna going down, which obviously is a huge loss for the Braves, Acuna out for the season and, some next season with the ACL injury, then Michael Harris has a hamstring strain, grade 2, they're saying. So it's who knows exactly how long he's going to be out. That's forced Kelenic to play every day. And that wasn't the plan. That wasn't designed going into the season when they went and got Adam Duvall to bat against lefties. Not that he wasn't capable of it, but it wasn't designed this year on this team for how the outfield situation was set up. Because he was sitting pretty much against all lefties. I mean, Anthopoulos and Snitker came out and said, oh yeah, we're going to give Kelenic a run at lefties. He wasn't going to sit every single time against lefties. Well, obviously we saw that happen with Adam Duvall. Now, with obviously Acuna and Michael Harris injured and out, the Braves are like, we got to put someone out there. We just got to see what what Jared Kelenic can do. And he has responded in a big way. He's hitting .282 right now with 8 homers, 25 RBIs, and he's been great out of the leadoff spot. And I knew he was hitting good out of the leadoff spot. I didn't know he was hitting .392 good. That's right, .392 out of the leadoff spot. He's been on fire. Also, he's hitting lefties right now, which was why they originally brought in Adam Duvall to match lefties. He's hitting .300, small sample size, 12 for 40. But let's just say that drops to around .260 even. You're fine with that. You can absolutely live with .250, .260, him facing lefties, and then him hitting well against righties. That's an everyday play. You can ride with that. And even if he continues like he's been doing, he can lead off next year with Acuna still out. It was kind of the Braves, where do we go? What do we do at leadoff? Do we put Michael Harris there? Do we put Ozzie there? Do we put Kelenic there? It was kind of, those three were the main options with Acuna out. They liked Ozzie in the 2 spot, and I do too. I like him in the 2 spot. So it was Harris and Kelenic at some points, and Kelenic has solidified that leadoff spot. That's important for this year, and also, like I said, very much next year as well, to help the Braves construct and build this roster of needs for next year. This might allow the Braves to be like, know what, we're set at outfield with Kelenic, Harris, and a so-so outfielder until Acuna comes back. Could allow the Braves to go spend more money on a starting pitcher. Maybe they have some of that money to re-up Max Fried as opposed to having to sign a solid to decent 4th outfielder. Maybe they could get by with a 5th outfielder type and spend their money on the starting pitching core, because I think there's going to be at least 2 spots open with Max Fried. I hope they sign. I don't think they will. And then you've got Charlie Morton, a free agent, and could potentially retire at age 40. So Kelenic has, I think, very much solidified himself and someone the Braves feel comfortable with, even against lefties. And he's proven it, which is very much needed this year and potentially in the future as well. Speaking of the future, the Big 12 in the future could close the financial gap. 2 ways the Big 12 is considering gaining some money for its school. The first one is selling naming rights to sponsors. So in this case, it could be called the All-State 12 Conference, etc. The Chick-fil-A 12, the Gatorade 12, whatever you want to call it. Insert sponsor name here, 12 Conference, Interesting idea. I think it's a smart idea for this conference to help them receive some money to try to get just a little bit more money, since they're getting a whole lot less on their TV deal and from the college football playoff pool than the SEC and the Big Ten. The schools receive between 1.875 and 3.125 million per school, depending on how the deal is, the money. So about estimated 22 million in total, which is a nice add to those athletic departments and the NIL pot for each school. I mean, you could throw another 2, 1.5, 2, even heck 3 million at a 4 or 5-star quarterback. That could drastically change your program in his 3-4 years there. Now, would other conferences follow suit if the Big 12 were to do this? At first, my answer was yes. With the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12, the ACC, I think, would as well, because of the money disparity from them as well. But say with the SEC or the Big 10, like I said, I originally would have said yes, but they built their own brands to be, it just means more. Their tagline, SEC, Southeastern Conference, that's a brand now. That's big. Same thing with the Big 10. Now, it would be interesting what those conferences, what the SEC and the Big Ten would get. Would they get 30 plus, 40 plus in total? If, say, the Big 12 is getting estimated 22 million? Because both those conferences would be getting a lot more in money than the Big 10 or Big 12, without a doubt. Now, the other thing that the Big 12 is considering when it's talking about bringing in money is selling equity of 20% to a private equity firm for up to $1 billion. And I read that. I was like, wait, hold up. What? Almost like a double take and a read of them potentially selling an equity stake to a private firm. This is where it gets interesting to me. So how much control and say would this firm have even at 20%? Let's just say 20% control. I mean, how do those board meetings in the off season go with the presidents, with the ADs, with the firm? If, say, Baylor and UCF are really affecting the bottom line of these financial reports. I mean, for these firms, it's about making money and taking cuts, and when they can have it to help their bottom line of their profit. I mean, would any sports program be cut to help you make money? Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of them would. I mean, how's that conversation go? Hey guys, Baylor's swimming team, UCF's golf team, didn't make any money. Their gymnastics team, it's gotta go. Excuse me? What was that? Yeah, we're getting in the professional world anyway with the NIL. So how does that work? I don't know. That would be an interesting discussion to have. I feel like if this equity stake were to be in place, I feel like there's got to be a clause in there somewhere where no programs can be cut regardless of how much money they lose. Because not every school makes money, even on football. There's so many schools and athletic departments that are in debt and losing money. Because there's not a whole lot of NCAA Division I programs that are actually profitable and make money. So the firms would be like, yeah, this isn't working. So I don't see this one as likely as potentially them selling their conference name to whatever. It could, I feel like this is could almost be turning into NASCAR, where they've got every sponsor on their car. The Allstate, Goodyear, Gatorade, Chick-fil-A, Big 12 conference. It's why would they limit it to one if they can get multiple? Why limit yourself money and revenue and income coming in? I don't see it. I don't think it'll happen. I mean, it wouldn't happen, the limitations of that, but I see that one more likely for the Big 12 than the equity firm. Now, something I wholeheartedly agree with, Derek Jeter said he wants more accountability from Hall of Fame voter who snubbed him. Yeah, isn't it crazy that Derek Jeter himself was not a unanimous into the Hall of Fame? He was first ballot, but he wasn't unanimous. As interesting enough, Mariano Rivera is the first and only consensus 100% of the vote into the Hall of Fame, which to me is like, that's mind blowing. It's that I mean, not Jackie Robinson, not not Maddox, not Glavine, not Chipper. All these guys that are guaranteed Hall of Famers. Roberto Clemente wasn't even a 100% vote, and he's one of the most loved players of all time. Babe Ruth. I mean, Hank Aaron. Jackie Robinson. Nope, 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 nope. It's Mariano Rivera, which great player. Of course he's going to get in, but it's just interesting. Mariano Rivera, getting in, and that's surprising. And like I said, I agree with what Jeter, and I think every Hall of Fame ballot should be made public. Voting on these things, this is honor. And some just, they don't take it seriously. And there's writers and media members that would love to write and be able to vote for players in the Hall of Fame, but they don't have that opportunity to. So you have to be a beat writer, media member for 10 years. I'd be fine if, say, it's your 5 to 7 years. But you're active. You're an active member, watching baseball, following baseball, voting. I mean, it's, some people don't really watch anymore. They just vote, and that's it. Another great point Derek said, he and players are accountable after every game. Every game, they talk to reporters, whether they had a good game, a bad game. They struck out to end the World Series. They struck out looking. Regardless, they're there every night, night in, night out, answering questions about what happened, what's they're going. They're accountable. Why isn't the media, who watches them play every day for years, accountable for who they voted for, why they voted for whom, what, when, and where? Show the ballot. I think it would be a lot more appreciative. And if you had a reason for not voting Derek Jeter in, have a legit one. Not, I don't think he should be 100% voter. He didn't earn that. He's not a special enough ball player for that. I mean, if it's, say, a borderline candidate or a shoe-in, and every other voter is going to vote him, and so you want to give 10 other guys a chance to maybe potentially stay on the ballot and get another look, I mean, that's a decent enough answer, but it's still crazy to me, and it makes zero sense. I'm with you, Derek. They got to figure this out, and they should make it more accountable to who you are and who you vote for. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Lock It Up Media. That's Lock It Up Media on Twitter. You can check us out next week. I'll talk to you next week. You've been listening to Lock It Down Sports. Have a good day.